Now it's not quite clear how we should proceed to prove that S is a subset of P. In such cases, one strategy that helps is to assume the opposite. Assume that S is actually not a subset of P and see if you get a contradiction. If you get a contradiction, that would imply that your starting assumption was wrong. So let's make a starting assumption that S is not a subset of P. What that means is there is some element X in S which does not belong to P. Right? To say that S is a subset of P is to say that if X belongs to S, that means X belongs to P. Now if you assume that S is not a subset of P, that would mean that there exists some element X in S such that X does not belong to P. So let's assume that there is such an element and see where that leads to. So there is an element in S which does not belong to P. So we can say X belongs to S and X does not belong to P. There exists some such element X which belongs to S but which does not belong to P. That's what we mean when we say that this is not true. Assume that this is not true. Assume that S is not a subset of P. Now if this hypothetical element X belongs to S, that means X has the form described in the definition of this set. So X belongs to S means that 2 to the power X minus 1 is prime by the definition of the set X. Because for any t that lies in set S, 2 to the power t minus 1 is prime. So if X lies in the set S, 2 to the power X minus 1 must be prime. Now if X does not belong to P, that means X is a composite number, it's not a prime number. And if X is a composite number, that means X can be expressed as the product of prime numbers. Minimally, we can say that X can be expressed as the product of two numbers m and n, where both m and n are greater than 1. That's what it means for something to be a composite number. For example, 15 is a composite number because 15 can be expressed as 3 times 5. 12 is a composite number because 12 can be expressed as 2 times 2 times 3. Or we can express this as 4 times 3. So the point is that any composite number can be further broken down into the product of two numbers both of which are greater than 1. If this was not possible, then this wouldn't have been a composite number. Then it would have been a prime number which has only two factors, one of which is 1 and the other is the number itself. The fact that it's a composite number implies that it can be expressed as m times n, where both m and n are larger than 1. So let's combine both these results. If 2 to the power x minus 1 is prime and x is a composite number which can be expressed as m times n, then we are getting 2 to the power m times n minus 1 is prime for some values of m and n greater than 1. Now the question to ask is this possible? Is this ever possible that you have two numbers m and n greater than 1 and you take 2 to the power m times n, so you subtract 1 and the resulting number is prime? Is this ever possible? Now clearly it's possible for some power of 2 minus 1 to be prime. For example, 2 to the power 3 minus 1 can be prime. 2 to the power 3 is 8, 8 minus 1 is 7, 7 is prime. So there's no problem if we have a prime number over here. But what happens if we have a composite number? Well, one way we could probe this further is to express 2 to the power mn as 2 to the power m, the whole thing raised to the power n minus 1. Now 2 to the power m, where m and n are both greater than 1, 2 to the power m will be some number either 4 or something, or some power of 2 larger than 4. So it will be some large number, let me just call it L, where L will be greater than or equal to 4, because m is greater than 1, so the least value of m is 2, and if m is 2, then 2 to the power m would be 4. If m is 3, then 2 to the power 3 would be 8. If m is 4, then 2 to the power 4 would be 16, and so on. So this will be some large number L, whose the minimum possible value of L is 4. So this can be expressed as L to the power n minus 1. Now this 1 can also be written as 1 to the power n. Now if you have studied polynomials, you know that the polynomial x to the power n minus y to the power n has x minus y as a factor. This means the polynomial x to the power n minus y to the power n can be written as x minus y times some other large polynomial. And you can see this easily if you just look at this as a polynomial of x. So treat this as a polynomial of x. This is an nth degree polynomial in x. And we are saying that one of the roots of this equation is x equal to y. And you can see that if I substitute x equal to y over here, we'll get y to the power n minus y to the power n, which is 0. That means x equal to y is definitely one of the roots of the polynomial x to the power n minus y to the power n. Similarly, if you treat this as a polynomial in L, then L minus 1 will be a factor of this polynomial. So this can be written as L minus 1 times some other polynomial in L. Let's not worry about what that polynomial is. Now since the least possible value of L is 4, this value has to be greater than or equal to 3. And this value should clearly be greater than 1. Now you may ask, why should this value be greater than 1? Well, let's assume that it's equal to 1. If it was equal to 1, and let's say L was 4, then this would be 3 times 1, which is 3. Is it ever possible that 4 to the power some number that's greater than 1 minus 1 could be equal to 3? That's not possible, because the least possible value that n can take is 2. And 4 square would be 16. 16 minus 1 is 15. So if this value is 3, this value cannot be equal to 1. It must be some number significantly larger than 1. In fact, arguably this number has to be larger than 5, because the least possible value of L is 4. The least possible value of n is 2. 4 square is 16 minus 1, which is 15. So this value must be at least 15. So if this number is greater than or equal to 3, this number has to be greater than 1. What that means is that 2 to the power mn minus 1 can be expressed as the product of two numbers, both of which are greater than 1. This means 2 to the power mn minus 1 cannot be prime, because it can be expressed as the product of two numbers, both of which are greater than 1. So we get a contradiction. We get a contradiction because by assuming that x belongs to S and x does not belong to P, we get a necessary implication of these two, that there is a number 2 to the power mn where m and n are both greater than 1, such that if you subtract 1 from that number, the result is prime. But we have just shown that the result can never be prime. It can be expressed as the product of two numbers, both of which are larger than 1. So we get a contradiction. Since we get a contradiction, it means our original assumption was flawed. Our original assumption was that S is not a subset of P. Since we get a contradiction as a result of assuming that, we have to change that assumption. We have to concede that S is actually a subset of P. So this was a proof by contradiction.